UFC 314 Saturday night in Miami. Former champion Alexander Volkanovski facing Diego Lopez for the vacant UFC featherweight championship. Volkanovski has lost back-to-back fights for the first time in his career, fighting for the first time in over a year since losing the featherweight title to that man, Ilia Topuria, at UFC 298. Topuria later vacated the championship to move up to lightweight. Set it up and break it down. Welcome in Sportsline MMA analyst Danny Vithlani. Volkanovski looking to prove he's still elite, Danny. Lopez trying to pull off the upset in his first title fight. Volk 1-3 in his past 4 fights following a 22-fight win streak. How confident are you that Volkanovski can regain his form in this title fight?
My confidence is waning, Hakeem, and it's not in his skill set. It's perhaps in the legendary durability of Alexander the Great Volkanovski. At the certain level, above 35, when you click that sleepy time button that makes you go night-night, the button gets a little bit easier to press, and the caliber of fighters he lost to is nothing to scoff at. But Diego Lopez is a fierce striker, a dangerous grappler, and I worry about that durability of Volkanovski. Can he stand up to a nasty fight once more now in his, in the back half of his career, making this second run? I'm not so sure, Hakeem. I'm not so sure.
36 years old, and history is not on his side. Fighters 35 and older are 0-17 all-time in UFC title fights at 155 pounds and lighter. So, Danny, is the trend our friend? Are you fading Volk here?
I think the trend is our friend. We can expand that even further, and you take that 170-pound weight class. 3-21 is the record for 35 and older fighters competing in title bouts. So that trend is really suggesting that as you get older, you cannot compete at these explosive lighter weight classes. And for that reason, Hakeem, I'm taking Diego Lopez and new to become the featherweight champion and take that vacant title. I believe he's ready. I believe he's at an all-time high in terms of self-belief. And I think the comparison a lot of people will make is that he's not the striker that Ilia Topuria is, and he's not the pound-for-pound fighter that Islam Makhachev is. But I believe he has the same skill sets and the nastiness to get to Volk. His dirty boxing in the clinch. His jiu-jitsu is elite and so dangerous that it may deter Volkanovski from going to his wrestling game plan. And you look at that Islam Makhachev head kick, the threat of the grappling really set that up. I think Diego Lopez offers that same grappling threat that can make Volkanovski take his eye off the ball for one moment in order to allow a potentially lesser striker to find that devastating mark. I cannot trust the durability after 2 devastating, brutal knockouts. I think Lopez will find the chin eventually. And over the course of 5 rounds, despite Volkanovski still having all the skills, I think he'll look great until he doesn't, Hakeem.
Lopez on the money line at +118 for Danny. Co-main event features former Bellator lightweight champion Michael Chandler against Paddy Pimblett, who's a perfect 6-0 in the UFC. Pimblett trending towards a title shot, Danny. Do you like Paddy the Baddy to continue on his path to getting that title shot on Saturday night?
I do, and I believe he's the rightful favorite in this matchup. I know a lot of smart people betting on Iron Michael Chandler, but I think his fight DNA and style will not lend itself well in this matchup. He knows no other way than to throw caution to the wind. His recklessness can win him fights and will also be his undoing. And I feel the latter is the case in this matchup against Paddy the Baddy Pimblett, who is also a jiu-jitsu ace. I see a lot of the comparisons and sort of easy narrative to make is that, well, Charles Oliveira couldn't submit Michael Chandler in their last fight. How is Paddy going to do it? But Oliveira fought oddly safe in that fight. He went position over submission for maybe the first time in his career, brought a wrestling-heavy game plan. It's one of the more measured and technical fights you'll see in a Michael Chandler bout. I don't think that's how this one plays out. He's going to create chaos, and I think Paddy uses the chaos against him. Watch out for him to go to the ground and lace up that body triangle. That thing is a padlock. I don't think Chandler's going to be able to get out of it, and if he's on the ground, he's in Paddy's world. I think Paddy can control this fight on the feet as well. People underrate his striking and his size. He's no longer this goofy British kid that's gaining 100 pounds in between fights. He's in peak physique. He's a father of 2, and he's at his athletic prime. I think he's ready for this fight, and Chandler's the perfect guy on his resume to put a feather in his cap on that title march.
And you're going double chance here, which I love, which we should do more of this. Just explain that wager for those that maybe are not familiar. Pretty simple, but just to explain it.
This gives you 2 outcomes that can cash your bet on Paddy Pimblett. We're eliminating the knockout because I believe Chandler does have the advantage on the feet and is tough enough. And you're going to cash a +170 ticket if Paddy Pimblett wins this fight by decision or by submission, which I believe are the 2 most likely outcomes. I do think he can last in a 5-rounder. A lot of people think Chandler can take him deep and beat him, but don't sleep on Paddy's toughness. He's been 5 rounds twice in the Cage Warrior promotions. He's not some rookie. He's 22-3 in his pro career. So I trust him even if it goes deep. but ultimately I think his jiu-jitsu is the biggest skill advantage, and I like the double chance submission or decision for that reason.
Got to go with the new dad strength. I like it. Pimblett has won 4 of his 6 UFC fights via stoppage. Also on the main card, one of the greatest fighters in Bellator history, making his UFC debut, former 2-division champ Patricio Pitbull facing Yair Rodriguez in a featherweight bout. Danny, are you backing the dog in this fight, Pitbull?
I am, man. Aptly named Patricio Pitbull here. I think a lot of people are underrating him because of his time in Bellator, and they see it as not, on the same level as UFC. But man, Pitbull has 9 title defenses in Bellator. He was a double champion. You look at his record, you're maybe going to look at 2 red marks and recent losses, but they were kind of odd fights contextually. He went down to 135 pounds and fought Sergio Pettis and lost in an effort to become triple champ. That's going to happen to you. And then he has a fight that he lost to Horiuchi, a guy that people will not compare as an elite level UFC fighter, but he went over to Japan and fought at 5 in the morning. He was admittedly not himself. So kind of compare that to like an NFL team going to play in Frankfurt, Germany, and just getting caught by a weird traveling spot. I think he's a lot better than people give him credit for. He has so many quality wins. And Yair Rodriguez, as electrifying as a kickboxer as he is, he does have holes in his game. If you can get past the kicking range, I think Pitbull can lead the dance if he makes it a boxing affair. Yair also has been susceptible to his wrestling defense weakness. And watch for Pitbull to stay safe, stay controlled, stay measured and poised, and take on the overwhelming tornado storm of strikes that Yair throws, and then make it boring and technical. I think he can win the 29-28 decision if he implements that wrestling.
Plus 158. Pitbull, very much a live dog on Saturday night. His UFC debut holds Bellator records for most wins and title fight wins. Saturday night, trying to earn a win in his UFC debut. That'd be pretty special. All right, now let's get your best bet for UFC 314. Anywhere on the card, take us wherever you'd like. What's your tippy-top wager?
I have to go with Virna Jandiroba on the money line. I see a massive stylistic advantage for her. She's facing a fierce boxer in Yan Xiaonan that will be celebrated for dropping Weili Zhang in her title bout multiple times with that stinging right hand. The problem for Yan Xiaonan is that she's susceptible to grapplers, and I rate Virna Jandiroba as the best grappler in the strawweight division. I talked about Patty Pimblett's body triangle. How about Virna's body triangle? That thing's a padlock. You're not going anywhere. Her arm bars are elite, and I think the first time she takes Yan Xiaonan down, she's not getting back up. She'll be fighting off rear naked chokes. I like Virna to control this fight with her grappling, and I think she could win by submission even at plus 260, but I'll play it on the money line as my best bet for this UFC 314 card.
All right, from your best bet to a top parlay here. I'm always a big fan of a 3-fighter parlay, Danny. Perhaps you put one of those together. What did you put together for us?
Yeah, we're going to go with a 1-2-3 right down the middle in the prelims. Get in and out of there real quick. And I'm starting with the curtain jerker. First fight of the night, we're going to go Nora Cornole to kick it off. She's facing a girl in Haley Cowan that I just don't think is UFC caliber. She's going to try to wrestle her. Cornole's got a great Muay Thai clinch game. If she fails to wrestle her, she's going to get beat up in the clinch against the fence. Next up, Marco Tulio will be the second leg. Tulio facing a guy that is very strong, has this raw athleticism and power in Tresean Gore, but skill for skill, Tulio outmatches him by a wide margin. And finally, we're going to finish out with Michal Olejejczyk, a guy whose name I spent a long time learning how to spell. And he's had 15 fights in the UFC. I think he's finally got a matchup that is favorable for him. Normally, he's the betting underdog, taking on stiff competition, ranked opposition in the light heavyweight and middleweight divisions. They finally gave him a guy that has the experience disadvantage, and he's been training with the fighting nerds ahead of this camp. Look for him to be his best self. Put them together, and you're going to get a nice little plus money 3-leg UFC parlay.
Danny Vithlani, putting knowledge in your mind so you can put money in your pocket. Another great preview here from Danny Brasco on CBS Sports HQ. Danny, appreciate it. Thank you, my friend. Friendly reminder, UFC 314 from the Kaseya Center in Miami with the main card set to begin 10 p.m. Eastern. We'll have full highlights and reaction right here on CBS Sports HQ. And for more combat news and analysis, including picks, keep it locked on CBSSports.com.